Hi, Steph Nelli here. Today we have the pleasure of chatting with Dr. Matthew Rushworth, who's a professor in cognitive neuroscience here at University of Oxford. From what we eat for lunch, for who to vote for, we're constantly making decisions. So Matthew's research focuses on understanding the brain processes that allow us to choose the best course of action. Today, we're going to learn a little bit more about his trajectory. So to start things off, Matthew, would you mind maybe telling us a bit about where you grew up?
Sure. Yeah. So I was born in Ilford, which is in East London, and I grew up nearby in a place called Romford, and then Brentwood. So on sort of boundary between East London and Essex.
Interesting. So, how did you kind of go from East London to becoming interested in psychology?
Um, so I guess that when I was at school, it wasn't possible to do psychology, or at least not in my school. But I suppose I ended up being interested in psychology, partly because it seemed new and exciting. It wasn't something I could do at school. I'd I'd always been very interested in animals and biology, and then as I got older, I suppose I became interested in other things. I was interested in literature and stories, and um, I somehow or the other wanted to do something that was that would be different, and that would maybe bring together the sorts of insights I would get from reading novels and the knowledge you'd get from biology. And I thought, probably erroneously, that psychology might do that. But, so it was, I suppose it was partly by chance, really. I went for an open day at a university, found some books, and they seemed interesting.
Huh, very cool. Kind of a different, more narrative approach to psychology. Is there like a piece of advice that you picked up kind of along your path in terms of finding that path that you'd like to share?
I'm not sure that there is actually. I'm not sure I'm the best person to give advice, but I suppose that thinking, if I think a long way back to when I was applying to university, it wasn't an obvious thing to do at the time, and I think that maybe one of the most important pieces of advice I think I ever got was being told to just try things. So uh, you know um, the worst. What's the worst that can happen? So I think that many people don't even think of applying to university. When I was at university, I didn't think that I would be the right sort of person to do research or to do a PhD. And it was really only a very last minute decision that I made to do those things. I'm not sure what's the best thing to do, but certainly if you don't try something, then you're, yeah, you're never going to find out if you might be okay at it, or if you might enjoy it.
In those moments when you're debating whether to try something, what do you find kind of motivates you to take that chance?
Sure. So that's a very good question, and one that it would be very appropriate to ask somebody who's supposedly an expert in decision making. Um, I'm not sure what great insight I have, though. So, I mean, if I think back over some of the things that I did, certainly many of them were uh, mistakes, colossal mistakes. I'm not sure I had any good idea about which direction I was going in. I first of all started out trying to do a research project when I was a student in a completely different area of psychology. So looking at sort of child development, and I found out I was disastrously bad at that. So I, yeah, I think maybe just trying something, and maybe even if you haven't got that insight into how it would work out, then perhaps that's an important thing to do.
Great. Thank you so much for chatting with us.
Okay, well, thanks very much, Steph.